Hello and welcome to this video. I am focusing this week on training fundamentals and exploring a little bit into the difference between a coach and an influencer and what you really need to do in order to get really great results in the gym. And we are starting with the fact that you should follow foundational principles, always. So whilst it's tempting to follow like the latest social media trend or do something that looks really cool before you're ready, most of the time this isn't going to get you what you want. So in a sea of influencers and athletes and amazing people online, one thing remains true is that there are only a few professional athletes who actually get paid for what they do. And they get paid through sponsorships. Okay, so that's one way in which a professional athlete can make money. The second way, and this goes for the fitness community mostly, is to become an influencer. So if you want to just train all day and make money based on your own physique and your own training capacity, you become an influencer. And what that means is you have to do something ridiculous in order to stand out because there are so many of them. Especially in the male world, there's definitely a whole heap of fantastic athletes, but now in the female world, we have almost just as many. And these are the most ridiculous physiques you've ever seen. With really great athletic capacity. Maybe they used to be a gymnast, or maybe they used to be a track athlete, or maybe they just have ridiculously good genetics and they joined the gym. Now their physiques are out of this world. They may have won a title or two, and now you think that what they're doing is what you should do. So let me tell you that 9 times out of 10, what they're doing and their success really comes down to their foundational principles that they laid down in the beginning. That, of course, plus their genetics. But then the problem comes when they're trying to get followers. So they start to say that they did some otherworldly thing to get this result. So you'll see someone with great glutes and she'll tell you something like, all I did was these 8 exercises where I'm like lying on my side with my right arm attached over my head and my left leg in the air, and I'm doing that on the Smith machine, which is designed for something completely different. So you see that a lot and it doesn't really mean anything. So if you're a professional bikini athlete, yes, your training matters, absolutely, but you have to have that glute shape to start with. You can't have tiny little glutes and huge shoulders and then suddenly turn into a huge gluted bikini model, because that's not how the body works. The body has no necessity for creating a glute that is 6 inches thicker than it was when you started. What would be the point of that, right? So they would hit their genetic ceiling at probably like an inch of growth. So it's important to understand that these people post crazy things, not because it's what made them successful, but because it helps them sell their programs. Because if they told you, all I do is chest press, side raise, and bicep curl, and then I squat and do a leg press, you probably wouldn't click, you probably wouldn't buy it because you don't think they've got anything new to share, and they don't. And this is not to put them down, it's just to make it really obvious to you that they don't necessarily know what they're talking about as far as the everyday person is concerned. They're just trying to sell programs. So if you hire a reputable, popular coach, unless they're like, again, an influencer coach, you're probably not going to get anything like that in your program. It's probably going to look kind of boring. So it's going to be like squatting, deadlifting, leg pressing, lunging, maybe hip thrusting, leg curls, and calf raises, something like that. And your objective will be to improve on that over time, maybe a 12-week program. And then at the end of that 12-week program, you'll have a slightly harder program handed to you and you will repeat the same cycle again. Okay, so the training is monotonous, it's repetitive, it can be boring. Okay, but your goal might be to get the leg press from 80 kilos at the start of the 12-week program to 105 kilos at the end of the 12-week program. Now you've excelled at that exercise, you've gained 25 kilos in weight on the exercise, and you might have put on some muscle. And because you are stronger, it is guaranteed that you have put on muscle. So that's how that works. And the basics work the best every time. And the number one thing that makes a good program is that it is focused on the posterior chain. So this is a group of muscles that runs down the back of the body, including the deeper abdominal muscles, the back, hamstrings, and the glutes. If you don't strengthen these muscles, then your posture will not be aligned enough that the results will come. Okay, so if you do something like a lunge and it hurts your knees, or you do something like a squat and it hurts your back, or a deadlift that hurts your back, you don't have a strong posterior chain and you're not able to get in the position that is required to perform that exercise correctly. So your program would actually be built around building those foundational muscles so that you can perform them correctly. And that might take you 6 months. So something I really commonly get in my business is someone will start training and they'll say, my ultimate goal is to be able to do a chin up. And I'll say, like, why is that? And they'll just go, oh, it's just really cool. And I'm like, all right, well, a chin up for most people is probably 3 to 5 years away if they haven't really trained before. So, and if somebody's been training poorly for a long time, it's probably about the exact same amount of time away, because something like a chin up requires excessive upper body strength and posterior chain strength. So what I would do with something like that is, first of all, tell them they're not doing any chin-ups. So I'm not going to be putting any chin-ups in their program. I'm just going to be teaching them how to squat, how to deadlift, how to build the posterior chain. They're going to be doing this kind of movement for the lats through, like, straight arm lat pull down, seated rows, standard lat pull down, single arm pull downs, and maybe assisted chin-ups with the machine, but they're not going to be doing any chin-ups. And you don't actually have to do a chin-up in order to get good at a chin-up. You just have to get a strong body overall. And the same applies for push-ups. A lot of girls say they want to be able to do push-ups. I never put them in the program. 12 months later, they're doing push-ups. Why? Because their whole body is stronger. So an influencer will tell you to do a single leg pistol squat with your arm behind your head, and maybe some HIIT training and some box jump and some stair sprints and some burpees, whereas a good coach will know that most of those activities will probably give you an injury. Okay, so that's the difference between like an influencer and a professional. So all those fancy exercises, they add really no value to a woman's physique or her life in general. Okay, they just add extra stress, and to be honest, they actually make it harder for you to build a posterior chain because you're doing these crazy exercises on weak foundation. Okay, so you actually just exacerbate the problem that you have in the first place. So a good coach will teach you how to master the basics and pace yourself well. They'll ask you to stick to a program for 8 weeks or more. So this gives you time to learn the exercises, lay the foundations, and start building strength upon that. They will make sure that you understand that the only way to become strong is to be consistent, and they won't let you squat, deadlift, chin up, push up, or anything like that until you are ready. So as a coach, me personally, I risk losing clients because I don't always give them what they want, because what they want has come from Instagram. And what is on Instagram is unfortunately not exactly what gets you results. So do you want Instagram or do you want results? Once I explain to people why that path might not be beneficial and how this other path might be better for what they want, 9 times out of 10, they're happy with that and there's no problem. A good thing to understand, that's a professional like myself with heaps of experience. I'm constantly dispelling this stuff. Like, this is one of the biggest things I do in my business that I did not have to do 5 years ago. So I'm not saying that you shouldn't follow influencers, because they are amazing. Some of them have really great athletic capacity. Some of them are really amazing to watch. They look amazing, they perform amazing, they achieve great things. What they do is cool to watch, but it's important to understand that as full-time athletes or full-time influencers, this is all they do. And they're also born genetically elite. So these people that thrive like this, they were born that way. And, hate to break it to you, but you probably can't get there. I can't get there on half the exercises because I just don't have the body structure, or I just don't have the right leverage or the right ratios. This is just how this works. It's like how CrossFitters perform well because they've got really thick upper bodies and really thick waists. This is genetic. They don't build that from CrossFit. They have that. That's why they're good at CrossFit. Just like a powerlifter, for example, with a few exceptions, most of them are quite stocky. And this is because their leverage is really good and they're kind of lower to the ground and more compact, which means it's easier for them to lift heavier weight. Someone who's long and lanky, there are a couple of exceptions, by the way, that you will see someone who will not believe how strong they are. But these are what you call outliers. But those people are good at powerlifting because they have the physique for it. Somebody who thrives in bikini bodybuilding, somebody who thrives in, say, bikini, they thrive because they're good at it naturally. They naturally have a tiny waist. They naturally have quite a big pelvis. They naturally have big round glutes. They naturally have broad shoulders. So all of these things are already inherent in them before they even put their foot out into the ring. So follow them, yes, but do not measure your progress against them. And unless they've got lots of clients that get lots of really fantastic results who, as good as them or better than them or, or achieving the same great things as them, they might not be a good coach. They're probably a really good athlete, maybe not a very good coach. And then just understanding, especially down the physique path, these women with crazy physiques who just post picture after picture after picture of their own ridiculous physique, most of that is just to funnel you into their website to then download their app and sign up to their 8-week challenge or something like that. But they might have 1,000 people enter that challenge. 5 people get good results. Those 5 people end up on their Instagram and you start to think that they're a coach, but they're not. No app is considered coaching because, I could have 10 women all weighing 60 kilos and they all have different caloric requirements and they all have different weaknesses and they all have different needs. Okay, so there's a big difference between an influencer and a coach. So always get your advice for your own self, especially if you're a normal person who seeks to get the most out of her training. Get that from a coach, not an influencer. And I can also further comment on that. As far as being a coach, for as long as I've been a coach for, I've probably trained like 1,000 different women, and some of the least disciplined clients I've had over the years actually had the best physiques. And some of the most disciplined clients I've had over the years have had some of the least good physiques, you know, and I'm just talking if you actually just looked at the two side to side. You choose one over the other and you would think that this one who looks completely athletic, lean and amazing, you would assume she's way more disciplined than the other one, when it's not even the case. So, you know, genetics play a very large role in what you can get out of your training. You know, me personally, I have the healthiest diet out of everyone I know. And I do not have the leanest physique out of everyone I know. I don't have the biggest glutes. I don't have wide shoulders. It's not my genetics. I don't have a tiny waist. Also not my genetics. Got really long arms and legs and a short torso, which is good for almost no exercise. And, you know, so I've had to learn all the hard way. I had to fix all these problems to get any results at all. So we're not all built the same. We don't all have the same potential. And for an everyday person, you need to understand this. So with all that information in your head, what do? Hire a professional that will teach you the fundamentals and match a program to you directly. Most of this program should involve your posterior chain, getting that strong, and you should be focusing on mastering basic exercises and progressive overload over time. You also need lots of rest and not too much cardio if weight training is your focus. So first of all, hire a coach. Do not buy something off an influencer. Second of all, get a proper program. It should be built around building your posterior chain. Thirdly, focus on progressive overload. Fourthly, do the program for enough time that you can get strong at each exercise. And fifth, lots of rest, lots of consistency, lots of patience. Just keep doing the fundamentals and you will get there. So that's all for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you like the video, then subscribe. If you have any other ideas of topics you'd like me to cover, then let me know in the comments or send me an email, message, or something like that. I will see you next week.